Automotive industry experts claim they know who out of the big three, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, are going to win the electric car race. They claim they know based on the new rules. And here is what they have to say. Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. I'm in the desert. I'm in Alice Springs, about to leave today. My son Jack's just finished his second race here for the National Cup. For BMX racing, he did really well. He came second again today. This was his trophy today. Yeah, he thinks the other one from yesterday was better. Let me know which one you think looks better. So now we've got that done. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. Thank you for supporting this channel, for subscribing. And thank you to some of the new Patreon supporters who've just come on recently. And thanks actually to all of our Patreon supporters. This channel wouldn't be possible without you. Now, a new rule in California forces automakers, including the Detroit 3 and Toyota and all the Japanese automakers as well, to follow an aggressive roadmap to move away from gasoline-powered cars and diesel-powered cars, I should add as well. On Thursday, the California Air Resources Board voted to set a 2035 deadline for when it's no longer legal at all to sell internal combustion engine vehicles in California. Now, personally, I think this is a good thing, a good move, but will it be relevant? In my view, no. I don't think anyone in California is going to be stupid enough to want to buy an internal combustion engine vehicle in 2035 anyway. However, on Thursday, the California Air Resources Board voted to set a 2035 deadline in the state for new vehicles sold to be powered by electricity or hydrogen. Now, for those of you unaware, the only reason hydrogen-powered vehicles are selling at all in California is because they actually get massive subsidies. In fact, they're subsidized to almost 80% of the purchase price, I've been told by a number of people who live in California. Now, this is through various rebate schemes, but the point here is the only way you can sell one of those cars is by massively subsidizing the price. It will be a long time, if ever, before Michigan follows suit with such a policy, claim experts in the United States. In part, that's because Michigan leaders will be reluctant to make life more difficult for its biggest and best industry, said Eric Gordon, business professor at Ross School of Business at University of Michigan and an auto industry expert. If Michigan is a follower at all, it won't be a fast follower to electric vehicles, they claim. Now, I don't agree with this. The reason I don't agree with this is I think that GM and Stellantis and also, of course, Ford know the writings on the wall. They know that in 2035, people will not want internal combustion engine vehicles. So I don't think it'll be necessary for Detroit to have to try and force them into making EVs. I think they're just making that decision naturally themselves. However, these rules mean the big three have pressure now to meet a set date, and they'll face competition for big electric vehicle sales in a state where EV maker Tesla has long dominated. I mean, the reality is right now, Tesla is dominating the Californian auto market. Even with all the negative publicity recently around Elon Musk and his tweets, etc., I couldn't really care less about what anyone tweets. But anyway, I know a lot of people have been offended by that. Even with all that negative publicity, still, EVs in California, particularly Teslas, are selling like crazy. In fact, they're easily outselling their competition, Mercedes, BMW, Audi. I think probably within 12 months, Tesla will outsell Mercedes, BMW, and Audi and Lexus combined, right? They're already doing that now, but I think in 12 months, that will still be the case. California's timeline melds with GM's long-stated goal to offer a full lineup of zero-emission vehicles by 2035. We all know this. Mary Barra has made it very clear to us all that that's what GM plans on doing. They're just not delivering quite as well as Ford are right now. GM has said that Buick and Cadillac brands will be all electric by 2030. Also, GM partnered with Honda 2 years ago to jointly develop EVs. Now, realistically, that's GM just being nice to Honda. The truth is, Honda is just paying General Motors for their Ultium technology because Honda hasn't really done much. That's the reality of the matter here. This is the same scenario as what Toyota are doing with BYD. They have this so-called pretend joint venture. It's not really a joint venture. It's really just Toyota saving face. Yes, in Asia, it's very important to save face. That's what Toyota is doing. It's what Honda is doing. Toyota is doing it by saying, we've got a joint venture with BYD where, it's not BYD making the cars. It's our joint venture. That's what Honda is doing here. It's really fake. The truth is, BYD are making electric cars for Toyota. GM will be making electric cars for Honda. I think this alliance with Honda, the focus is on an affordable small SUV. And that's what you need to be successful in mass EV adoption in any state, Gordon said. But Ford is not oblivious to the electric vehicle price war either. That said, Ford has increased its prices across the board for all of its EVs, which it had to do. I predicted that. I'm sure many of you predicted that. It was obvious that had to happen. Ford's previous pricing for its EVs was really more about marketing, more about getting their brand out there, but clearly they were making a big loss on every single EV they sold, and that had to change. Ford couldn't stomach that much of a loss on, say, the F-150 Lightning. Now, the mandate is making Detroit move faster. That's why I think it's a good thing. That's why I know many of you don't think it's a good thing. It's why I do. It's forcing Ford, GM, and Stellantis to push into EVs quicker than what they otherwise would have done so. And this could potentially save them. I've said there's a chance that all of these guys could go bankrupt. However, maybe Joe Biden will actually save their asses from that actually happening. Now, the national average transaction price of an EV in July was $62,900 US. That's an increase of 15% from $55,000 1 year ago, according to Edmunds.com. That compares with an average of $47,000 US for all vehicles in July. Ford CEO Jim Farley said in June that manufacturing EVs will eventually become less expensive, leading to a price war among car makers who can offer compelling vehicles for $25,000 US. Now, I just made a video talking about why the Tesla Model 2 or Tesla's $25,000 EV actually became impossible in April of this year. It's becoming more possible now that prices have come down. However, it's very difficult to actually pull this off and make a profit. You should check out my video about the cost of metals that go into these batteries and how that has skyrocketed over the past 12 months. GM CEO Mary Barra has said she sees the entry point for mass EV adoption at about $30,000 US. And she has promised the 2024 Chevy Equinox EV will cost $30,000 US. She hasn't promised shareholders that they can make a profit off that, though. That's the big key, making a profit. Ford is investing more than $50 billion in EVs and batteries through to 2026. As part of the global Route Zero coalition, Ford are working to make more than half its new car and van sales EVs globally by 2040. Way too slow, in my opinion. And by 2035, in leading markets like Europe and the United States. So in other words, Ford, really, its goals right now, in spite of its rhetoric, they're actually pretty low. They've still set a pretty low bar. Stellantis is getting into zero carbon emissions by 2038, they claim, and it will bring 25 EVs to the US market by 2030. Now, Gordon said to the Free Press, the mandate puts pressure on Ford and GM to move faster. Having set a date is compelling. It's not a set date, like in Wyoming, where you're not real worried. A set date in California is big. It's the United States' largest car market. So it's going to be a big challenge for the Detroit Big Three. It is. It's a fact, right? That's because California leads the nation in new car sales by a pretty big margin. Through June 30 of this year, California made up 11.7% of the US new car market, with 805,000 new cars sold there, according to S&P Global Mobility data. That is home to 37% of the nation's electric vehicle registrations over the first 6 months of this year. The next biggest market, right, after California, coincidentally, strangely, isn't it, is Texas. where 646,000 new cars were sold. Michigan ranks a pretty lowly 6th place in the US with only 246,000 new car sales and only 1.4% of North America's electric vehicle sales. 1.4%. But the more interesting part here for me is the fact that Tesla are going after California, which they already own, and now they're going after Texas. So they're going after America's two biggest auto markets. Now, funny enough, there's a number of so-called experts saying that this policy is too aggressive and it's not a good idea. California shouldn't be doing this. It's going to hurt the big three. I think maybe it's possible. It will hurt them if they don't prepare. John Bozella, CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, said, California's policy is too aggressive and will be extremely challenging to meet. Sure, challenging for them to meet if they don't take EVs seriously. But if they do, it's not hard, is it, really? I mean, if a company like BYD can do it in a couple of years, surely Ford and GM can do it in order to stave off bankruptcy within 13 years, right? Really? Is it that difficult? I don't think so. Now, he goes on to say this: whether or not these requirements are realistic or achievable is directly linked to external factors like inflation, charging and fuel infrastructure, supply chains, labor, critical mineral availability and pricing, and the ongoing semiconductor shortage. These are complex, intertwined, and global issues well beyond the control of the industry. So in other words, experts are trying to say it's not GM's fault, it's not Ford's fault, it's not Stellantis' fault if they can't meet this. It's out of their control. Really? Do you believe that? I think that is complete malarkey. Absolute, complete and utter garbage. The Detroit Big Three have reacted to the ban in California. In reaction to California's decision, GM spokeswoman Liz Winter said the automaker and California share the same vision of an all-electric future by 2035. GM is planning to deliver 30 new EVs to the market by 2025 and just started launching the latest, the 2023 Cadillac Lyriq SUV. To be fair though, GM did say that they would deliver 20 electric cars by this year. In fact, by I think it was October of this year. They've delivered 3. So they've got to deliver 17 within the next 2 months to meet what they told the market they would do. So whether or not they'll really deliver those 30 EVs is yet to be seen. What did GM actually say though? They said, we are focused on delivering zero emissions vehicles across a range of price points. We look forward to working with California as well as the other states, localities and the federal government on complementary policies to achieve this shared vision. What are those policies? Well, they include a zero-emission transition, including charging infrastructure investment, consumer purchase incentives, mineral resource development, and public education. These policies are important in any state considering a similar move. Say General Motors. General Motors is basically saying, you know what, states, you need to support us in order for us to meet your demands. Realistically, I'm not so sure that's what they should be doing though. Here's what Ford had to say. At Ford, combating climate change is a strategic priority. We're proud of our partnership with California for stronger vehicle emission standards. Forged during a time when climate action was under attack, we're committed to building a zero-emissions transportation future. That includes everyone. Backed by our own investments of more than $50 billion by 2026 in EVs and batteries. What about Stellantis? Stellantis spokesman Eric Main said this: Stellantis is committed to net zero carbon emissions by 2038, evidenced by our recent $35 billion investment in vehicle electrification and related software toward the introduction of 25 US market battery electric vehicles by 2030. Now, I think it's fair to say that Stellantis is lagging way behind Ford and GM in North America, not in Europe, in North America, where they may cease to exist. I mean, realistically, yeah, they're trying to make some EVs, but they have nothing really yet. Nothing at all. Really, there's no firm plans from them. I don't think Stellantis is likely to still exist in North America by 2035. I mean, realistically, the reason for that is they're not planning to succeed, in my view. Right now, Stellantis does have sort of some EVs. They say they do, but they're actually plug-in hybrids. And they say that only 40% of all cars they sell in North America in 2030 will be EV. Only 40%. that means only 40% of their cars have a chance of selling. The other 60%, I don't think are going to sell, period. So experts say that GM has been the most proactive in its approach to EV development and is probably in a better position than Ford or Stellantis in terms of meeting California's mandate. He says that early responses to GM's Ultium have been pretty good. The 2022 GMC Hummer EV pickup and the Lyriq use the Ultium system. However, he had huge praise for Ford's F-150 electric pickup and the Mustang Mach-E, which by the way will go on sale here in Australia very soon, which is going to be exciting to see. Now, Stellantis have unveiled an EV lately. Very exciting news, but it's pre-production. We have no idea if it will be made in that form. However, it looks absolutely incredible. It's their new muscle car. I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about that. So, the Detroit Big Three, right? Really, I don't know if it's a Big Three anymore. I'd say it's just a Big Two of Ford and GM and then Stellantis underneath them. However, they're going to face very similar challenges as to what automakers in Germany, Japan, and elsewhere are facing, despite a long track record of building cars. But it will be a bit better, right, in North America. Why? Well, because the Chinese have already come to Europe. They're already there. The Chinese are planning on taking over that market. And remember, the Japanese auto market is built. It's built upon exports, not selling cars in its own country. Yes, that matters, but it's only a small percentage of their vehicle sales worldwide. Without all the exports they currently have, the Japanese auto market will be decimated. That's a guarantee. That will happen. There's no question. Europe, that's tough. China is going to Europe. They're targeting Europe more than any other area in the world. However, North America is not being targeted the same way by Chinese automakers. One key reason is the 25% import tax, making it more difficult for automakers. The other key reason, the second, is the fact that Tesla already dominates that market and they perceive it's going to be hard to unthrone Tesla. Now, obviously, the US media thinks that Tesla's throne will be taken from it. I mean, they're predicting that GM will take over Tesla. In fact, many of them predict that GM will be selling twice as many EVs in 2029 versus Tesla. To me, that is just absolutely fanciful. If they're saying that, so-called experts making those comments either have no idea what's going on in the automotive industry or they're being paid. So all of these car companies are trying to catch up to Tesla. Will any of them do it? Absolutely not. That is a guarantee. It will not happen. Will any of them have a chance of actually doing well in the market, selling millions of EVs before 2030? Absolutely. Ford and GM both do. I've got to make the point. Who, though, is delivering right now? Ford is not delivering a lot of vehicles, but they're certainly delivering a lot more than General Motors is. And the truth is, Ford has plans to use LFP batteries, which will allow them to sell cheaper EVs and potentially make a profit. GM, on the other hand, does not have that in their plans. So that's going to make it much more difficult for them to sell their mythical $30,000 electric SUV. I believe that's mythical. I don't think that will ever exist. It could. It's unlikely. In my view, out of the big three, Ford is actually the most likely to succeed. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.